January 2026. It begins with a blip on a screen, nothing more than a radar anomaly over the warm waters of the Caribbean. NATO's early warning analysts detect an unusual radar signature that appears briefly, then accelerates at speeds that defy conventional missile parameters. It maneuvers in ways that existing engagement models cannot predict. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, it vanishes from tracking systems. Within minutes, intelligence officers across the Atlantic Alliance reached the same unsettling conclusion. This is not a conventional cruise missile test. This is not a ballistic trajectory exercise. What they are observing fits the operational profile of hypersonic weapons technology. And the point of origin is Venezuela. For the first time in modern military history, NATO is forced to treat the Caribbean as a contested hypersonic environment. For decades, NATO assumed that advanced strike threats would emerge from predictable theaters such as Eastern Europe or the Indo-Pacific. Latin America was never considered a zone requiring hypersonic defense planning. The Caribbean was viewed as a stable rear area where NATO could operate with minimal constraint and maximum freedom of movement. That assumption no longer holds. The appearance of Russian-origin hypersonic capability in Venezuela represents a structural shift, not a temporary escalation. It forces NATO to reconsider its strategic depth in the Western Hemisphere and fundamentally rethink what security means in a region that was previously taken for granted. Russia's role in this development is deliberate and calculated. Moscow has not announced formal deployments, established visible military bases, or placed uniformed Russian forces on Venezuelan soil. Instead, it has exported the systems themselves, along with training frameworks and operational doctrine needed to employ them effectively. This approach allows Russia to project influence without direct confrontation or the political costs of overt military presence. Hypersonic technology is particularly effective in this role because it challenges existing defense models without requiring large numbers of systems or constant visibility. The genius lies in its deniability and efficiency. Russia shapes the strategic environment while maintaining diplomatic flexibility. Hypersonic weapons fundamentally compress decision-making timelines in ways that legacy systems never could. Unlike ballistic missiles, they do not follow predictable parabolic trajectories that can be calculated and intercepted with confidence. Unlike cruise missiles, they operate at extreme speed, often exceeding Mach 5, while remaining maneuverable throughout their flight profile. This combination creates a defensive nightmare, a target moving too fast to easily track, too unpredictable to confidently intercept, and too close to allow comfortable reaction times. Traditional missile defense systems rely on early detection, trajectory calculation, and coordinated interception, a process that unfolds over minutes. Hypersonic weapons compress that timeline to seconds, forcing a shift toward automated responses and acceptance of higher uncertainty. NATO naval defenses in the Caribbean were designed for legacy threats such as conventional aircraft, subsonic cruise missiles, and occasional submarine activity. They were never optimized to handle hypersonic systems emerging from nearby continental territory with minimal warning. The entire defensive architecture of the region is suddenly inadequate for the threat it now confronts. Venezuela's geography amplifies the strategic impact significantly. From its northern coastline, hypersonic systems place critical sea lanes, naval task groups, and regional infrastructure within potential range. Major shipping routes that carry substantial portions of global trade pass through these waters. Ports, refineries, and communication nodes all fall within the theoretical engagement envelope. But here's the crucial insight. Even without a single launch, the presence of such capability alters operational behavior. Carrier strike groups must operate farther out to sea, reducing their effective reach. Surveillance assets are repositioned to account for new threat vectors. Contingency planning becomes slower and more conservative. This is strategic deterrence in its purest form, creating constraints through capability rather than action. For the United States, this represents a fundamental shift in hemispheric assumptions that have guided planning since World War II. For decades, U.S. military operations relied on uncontested access across the Caribbean and surrounding regions. The Western Hemisphere was considered a zone where American forces could operate freely and project power outward without concerning themselves from threats from within. Hypersonic capability in Venezuela introduces uncertainty into that equation. The challenge is not immediate vulnerability or imminent conflict, but reduced freedom of maneuver, a subtle but powerful constraint on strategic options. Military operations that were once straightforward now require additional layers of planning, protection, and risk calculation. Within NATO, the concern extends far beyond Venezuela itself. Analysts recognize a broader pattern in Russian strategy that has implications across multiple regions. By enabling partners with advanced denial capabilities, Russia can influence regional balances without deploying its own forces into potential flashpoints. This method reduces political risk while maximizing strategic impact. Venezuela has become a test case for how far this model can extend. If successful in the Caribbean, similar transfers elsewhere could reshape dynamics in the Middle East, Africa, or Central Asia. The broader implication is genuinely global in scope. If hypersonic weapons can alter planning assumptions in the Caribbean, similar transfers elsewhere could reshape regional balances worldwide. NATO planners are now factoring hypersonic proliferation into scenarios that previously assumed technological asymmetry firmly in favor of Western forces. For decades, NATO's operational confidence relied on the expectation that alliance forces would enjoy qualitative advantages in key technologies. As advanced systems proliferate to a wider range of actors, that comfortable margin shrinks. The buffer between confidence and caution grows thinner. This development does not signal imminent conflict or the failure of deterrence. What it signals is more subtle and perhaps more consequential: the erosion of assumptions that have underpinned Western military planning for generations. Deterrence still exists, and NATO retains formidable capabilities, but it now operates under tighter constraints and higher uncertainty. The margin for error has narrowed considerably. The space between stability and crisis has become more compressed. In 2026, NATO is not alarmed because a war has begun in the Western Hemisphere. NATO is alarmed because the strategic environment has changed quietly, efficiently, and without the usual warning indicators that precede major shifts in military balance. Hypersonic capability in Venezuela is not about today's crisis or this month's headlines. It is about tomorrow's limitations. The slow accumulation of constraints that reshape what is possible, what is prudent, and what is prohibitively risky. And that is why military planners on both sides of the Atlantic are paying very close attention. They understand that the blip on a radar screen over the Caribbean represents something far larger than a single weapon system in a single country. It represents a future where advanced capabilities proliferate beyond traditional power centers, where strategic surprise can emerge from unexpected theaters, and where the comfortable assumptions of the past no longer guarantee security in the present. If you found this analysis valuable and want to stay informed about the strategic developments reshaping our world, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you in-depth coverage of the issues that matter most.